It was supposed to be my night. That's what I kept telling myself as I adjusted the thin gold chain around my neck for the 5th time, smiling at my reflection like I wasn't fighting off a mini panic attack. Our engagement party was already in full swing downstairs, and I could hear the clinking of glasses and bursts of laughter echoing up through the hall. Everyone was there. His family, mine, our college friends, his coworkers, my old roommate from hell who somehow ended up on the guest list, even his ex, don't ask. Because my fiancé, Ryan, insisted we should show the world we're above petty drama. I should have seen that as the red flag it was. But love makes you blind, and apparently deaf and dumb too. So there I was, breathing through my nose, applying my engagement glow highlighter for the 3rd time, and pretending I didn't feel the tension in my gut. I'd been feeling it for weeks, a kind of cold distance. Like Ryan was here but not, still affectionate, still polite, still did all the things on paper a fiancé should, but something was missing. Or worse, someone. But tonight was our night, our fresh start, the party before the planning chaos, the calm before the marital storm. Until he picked up the mic. Now, to be fair, Ryan had had a few drinks. Not sloppy, but enough that his speech had a little too much swagger. His tie was loose, and his grin wide enough to look like a mask. I stood next to him, my arm looped through his, smiling at our friends and family like the luckiest woman alive. He tapped the mic, cleared his throat, and said, "I never thought I'd love again after her." The laughter in the room died instantly. My stomach dropped. I tilted my head toward him gently, smiling, half whispering, "Babe." He didn't seem to hear me. Ryan just kept talking. "I mean, you all remember, I was a mess back then, huh?" He looked toward someone in the crowd, dead center. "You saved me, you really did." I followed his line of sight. Right to Kayla. Kayla, his ex. The one who said she'd totally be chill, coming to the engagement party. The one he had dated for 3 years and allegedly, amicably, broken up with when they realized they wanted different things. She was standing by the bar, wearing a wine-colored dress that clung like a second skin, and holding a glass of red like she was toasting her own victory. And she was smiling. At him. "Ryan," I said again, louder this time. But he squeezed my hand, as if to say, "I got this." And then he turned back to the crowd. "But sometimes," he continued, "sometimes the universe breaks you so you can put yourself back together. And I wouldn't be standing here without the pain I went through, without the lessons I learned from you." He raised his glass. "To Kayla, I'll always be grateful for what we had, and even more grateful for what it taught me, to real love, to new beginnings." Then, and I swear this happened, he turned to me and added, like an afterthought, "and to the beautiful woman I'm marrying." I could feel it happening. The room wasn't breathing. People were staring at me. I laughed, loud, one of those awful staccato laughs that sounds more like a cough. Well, that was something. Someone actually gasped. I scanned the crowd, my face frozen in a grin, hoping someone would laugh would save me. Kayla sipped her wine. His mom looked like she was trying not to burst into flames. My best friend Megan mouthed, "What the actual fuck?" And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, my cousin Alex shouted, "Dude, this is on livestream." Yep. Ryan's best friend Mike had been streaming the whole speech for his podcast audience, because raw moments build brand loyalty. Comments were already flooding the screen. Did he just toast his ex? Run, girl, run. He's not over her, she knows. Oh, this is gonna be a viral sound. Ryan blinked, finally realizing what had happened. He turned to me, mouth opening. "Babe, I didn't mean." I stepped back. I could feel my cheeks burning. My chest tight. I turned slowly toward Kayla, who shrugged and winked, then lifted her glass again. To me. The entire room turned silent again as I took one slow step forward. And then another, until I was standing right in front of her. "You enjoying this?" I asked. Her smile never wavered. "I think you're projecting," she said sweetly. I opened my mouth to respond. But the speaker system crackled, and another voice cut through the room. A voice none of us recognized. "This isn't the first time he's made that toast." We all froze. Because the voice was coming from Mike's phone. The live stream had been hijacked. And a video began to play. One where Ryan, in a different suit, toasting another woman. Not me. Not Kayla. Someone else. And he was saying the exact same words. Cliffhanger. Silence. You know, that kind of silence that doesn't even feel like silence. Like everyone's heart stops at once and no one knows if they should scream or breathe. That's what it felt like as the video played on. There he was, Ryan, standing at another party, a different venue, different lighting, but unmistakably him. His hair was a little shorter, his suit a different color. The woman standing next to him wasn't me, wasn't Kayla either. She was tall, brunette, and beaming up at him like he was a god carved from granite. And in this other life, at this other engagement party, Ryan was saying the same goddamn words. I never thought I'd love again after her. You saved me. Sometimes the universe breaks you so you can put yourself back together. It was word for word. Line for line. Even the pause before raising his glass was the same. The crowd around me had stopped pretending. People weren't just whispering anymore, they were gasping, openly covering their mouths, pointing, recording. Phones were up. Screens glowed. The entire party had gone full viral meltdown mode, and I was standing center stage. Ryan stammered, that was years ago. Years, I cut in. My voice didn't even sound like mine. It sounded steadier. I think my soul had taken over out of pure humiliation-induced survival instinct. Yeah, he said, laughing nervously. That was like forever ago, before I even knew you, before Kayla. Wrong answer. Kayla's jaw dropped. Excuse me, she barked. You told me I was the one who saved you, she said, taking a step forward. You told me I brought you back to life. Are you saying you said that to her too? He looked between us, trapped, like a raccoon caught in a Whole Foods parking lot. I mean, you both did, he said. Both, we said in unison. That's when Megan, my best friend, queen of zero tolerance and bottomless sangria, stood up on a chair and shouted. So how many bitches has he found himself with? Can we get a running list? Laughter erupted. Not nervous laughter anymore. The kind where people realize they're not just guests, they're witnesses. And then, more comments started popping up on the live stream. This happened at Nicole's engagement too. I knew that toast sounded familiar. Bro has a template. Control+C, Control+V boyfriend. My phone buzzed in my purse, 5 notifications, then 15. Someone had clipped the speech, it was already up on TikTok. He toasted his ex at his engagement, party-run wedding fail cheater vibes. I turned back to Ryan, who, bless his delusional heart, was still trying to fix it. Listen, babe, it's not about the words, it's the feeling behind them. Okay? I didn't mean to upset you. You're the one I chose, you're the one I'm marrying. Kayla rolled her eyes. Wow, you say that like it's a prize. Do you even love me? I asked him. Quiet, raw. The kind of voice that comes after your stomach has fallen through the floor and you're running on fumes. He hesitated. He actually hesitated. Oh my God, Megan whispered behind me. He doesn't. Kayla tilted her head, eyebrow raised. Be honest, Rye, do you even know what love is? Ryan's mouth opened, closed, opened again. And then, he smiled. That smile. The one I used to think was charming. The one I now realized was just rehearsed. Look, we've all made mistakes, he said, turning to the crowd like this was some post-game interview. Relationships are hard, feelings get messy, but I think this has all been blown out of proportion. I love her. Her, I snapped. Which one? Me, Kayla, brunette girl from the video, the next one. He opened his mouth. But the mic cut out. Because Megan, God bless her, had ripped the cable out of the speaker. I think we've heard enough, she said. And you, she pointed directly at Ryan, you're the kind of man who thinks a poetic lie is more romantic than an honest truth. Ryan looked stunned. I'm sorry, he said. I really didn't mean to hurt you. I know, I replied. That's the worst part. And I walked away. Out of my own engagement party. Leaving behind my family, his, a $700 cake, 3 signature cocktails, and 1 very canceled wedding playlist. But I didn't cry. Not yet. Not until I was in the car, alone, makeup still flawless, staring out at the quiet street while a TikTok notification popped up. 3.2 million views. That viral sound, my humiliation. It had gone global. And the top comment, I hope she left his ass. I hit like. But the real story. It was far from over. Because 2 days later, brunette girl from the video messaged me. And what she sent changed everything. She messaged me on Instagram under the name @justnikkiagain. I stared at the request for a solid 10 minutes. Her profile photo was blurry, her smiling on a beach, dark hair flying in the wind, but I knew it was her, the woman from the second video, the one Ryan toasted before Kayla, before me. When I finally opened the message, my chest tightened. Hi, I think we've both been lied to. I saw the video, I have more. I typed back before I could second guess it. Are you Nicole? Yes, I thought he'd changed, but I'm guessing you heard that line too. The next message was a file, a video. I hesitated, but curiosity devoured whatever pride I had left. It was a screen recording from Nicole's phone, taken from a cloud folder named Ryan's Toast Drafts. Yes, drafts. This man literally had a folder of recorded speeches, practice toasts, Sirhi. Each file was titled like Engagement Toast Kayla Final, MP4. Engagement Toast Nicole V2, MP4. New Toast with More Emotion, Mauve. I watched in horror as Ryan rehearsed in front of a mirror, over and over again, repeating lines, adjusting inflection, making himself cry on cue. Crying. This was not a man who just spoke from the heart. This was a man with a goddamn playlist of betrayal. I called Megan instantly. She answered on the first ring. You better be about to tell me that he got hit by a rogue disco ball. Worse, I said, he rehearsed the speeches. All of them had practice videos. Silence. Then, oh my God, he's a wedding con artist. Nicole messaged again. I think we were all being played. I found a spreadsheet on his iPad once. Thought it was just budgeting stuff. What kind of spreadsheet? She sent a screenshot. It was a relationship timeline. With names, dates, emotional milestones. Notes like, Week 6 equals reveal trauma story. Month 3 equals mom introduction. Engagement sweet spot equals month 9-10. I wanted to puke. Nicole sent one more message. He proposed to me 8 months in, dumped me at 10, sound familiar. I did the math. We were 9.5 months in. I think I went temporarily blind. I opened my notes app and typed out the dates. All of them. My start date with Ryan, his breakup with Kayla, the engagement to me, the date on Nicole's video. The coaching retreat he claimed to go on for 2 weeks in between. They overlapped. There were 3 of us. Possibly more. And if Nicole was telling the truth, and I had no reason to believe she wasn't, this wasn't a guy with commitment issues. This was a guy with a system. A grift. A loop of falling in love, emotional flooding, mirror neurons, poetic speeches, and grand gestures, before ghosting like he'd never existed. And he'd picked smart, emotionally open women. Women who didn't just believe in love, they studied it. Women who'd write him off as a bad decision, not a predator. I was done being embarrassed. I wanted justice. Megan and I sat at my kitchen table with wine, face masks, and a shared Google Doc titled Operation Ex-Fiancé Fallout. We made a list. Nicole confirmed. Kayla messaged her she was in. That lying crystal-loving snake, she texted. Elise, another name Nicole had found in Ryan's notes. I reached out. She responded within 10 minutes with a voice note. I knew I wasn't crazy. Suddenly there were 4 of us, then 5, then 6. By the end of the weekend, we had 8 women. All of us toasted. All of us duped. Each of us with a recycled Ryan speech to prove it. And we had receipts. Nicole still had the iPad, Kayla had screenshots, I had the livestream clip, Megan had a plan. What if we flipped it? She said, eyes gleaming. Flipped what? The toast, what if we gave him one? I blinked, Like, show up at his house and recite the whole thing back. No, she said. Live, public, just like he did. Except this time, everyone knows what it is. It was bold. It was petty. It was perfect. So we planned. And the next week, we did it. We threw a party. Nicole booked the venue under a fake event name. Megan handled the stream. Elise made merch. I got toasted by Ryan shirts. Kayla brought cupcakes with quotes from his recycled speeches. And I stood center stage. Microphone in hand. Livestream rolling. Exes flanking me. And said, I never thought I'd love again after him. But sometimes the universe breaks you so you can rebuild a better version of yourself. Stronger, wiser, toast-proof. Cue applause. Cue his face when someone tagged him. But then, a notification popped up during the stream. An anonymous account. No name. No followers. Just one message. You think he's the only one. And attached was another spreadsheet with names we didn't recognize. Because Ryan wasn't the only one running this game. And now we were in deeper than we ever imagined. When the spreadsheet opened, the room fell silent again. We were still mid-celebration, post-mic drop. The cupcakes were half-eaten, the I got toasted by Ryan shirts had become instant Instagram fodder, and our TikTok stream had hit 400,000 views in under an hour. But all of that faded the second the file loaded. New Toast Network, XLSX. And at the top in bold, current runners, NYC, Denver, Austin, Vancouver. What the actual hell is this? Nicole whispered. The names were listed vertically, some with photos, contact info, cities, dates. Ryan's name was at the top, but not alone. Under him, other male names. Some with notes like, currently working on engagement 3. Still has the Malibu footage. Needs better trauma hook, last one too vague. And next to them, initials of the women they were working. It read like a fantasy football league of emotional fraud. What is this, some sort of fucking dating ring? Kayla said. No, Elise said slowly, this is a playbook. A coordinated group of men running identical emotional manipulation arcs across multiple cities. The toasts, the timelines, the soul-baring speeches, all scripted. And not just Ryan. Dozens of them. All running the same deep feeler persona. All targeting women with trauma-informed dating language, poetic sincerity, and eerily similar tactics. Reveal spiritual crisis around month 3. Create vulnerability loop with journaling exercises. Engagement within 10 months right arrow planned ghosting. Nicole scrolled faster. Oh my god, they're sharing best practices like it's a fucking startup. One comment read. The Denver girl cried on cue, use more past life language, it hits deeper. I wanted to throw up. These weren't one-off heartbreaks. This was industrialized betrayal. We were dealing with a literal network of performative partners. Men who used love like a ladder, climbed until they got the adoration hit, then jumped off when the high wore off. And now we had their spreadsheet. The anonymous account that sent it, still silent, no bio, no posts, no replies. But the implications were clear. Someone inside the network was leaking. And we weren't just ex-fiancés anymore. We were ground zero. Okay, Megan said, taking charge. We can't just go live with this without knowing who's behind it. What if we get sued? What if it's fake? It's not fake, Nicole muttered. I found my name on line 42. Mine was on line 47. Elise, Kayla, even 2 women who hadn't made the party, all listed. I looked around the room, faces pale, phones buzzing. Somehow, the game had gone from personal to systemic. And we had to decide, burn it down quietly or blow the whole thing wide open. Let's wait, I said, just for a second, let's figure out who sent this. But deep down, I knew that wasn't possible. Because we weren't dealing with one monster. We were dealing with a whole fucking cult of them. We messaged the anonymous account. No response. We reverse searched the doc. Nothing. But that night, around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number, no caller ID. I let it go to voicemail. When I checked the message, there was no voice. Just music. A soft piano melody. Then the unmistakable clink of a glass. And a man's voice saying, "Sometimes the universe breaks you." I dropped the phone. Because it was Ryan. It was someone else. And he was saying the exact toast. Verbatim. Another player. Another script. Another city. This wasn't over. This was only the beginning. By morning, the group chat we'd created for the ex-fiancé's toast club had tripled in size. Women were joining in from across the country. Nicole started mapping them by region. Megan made a color-coded chart, toast zones. Kayla, ever the chaos engine, suggested we get jackets embroidered. But no one was laughing. Because the more women we connected with, the clearer the pattern became. It wasn't just Ryan. It was dozens of men. Same speeches. Same timing. Same emotional bait-and switch. They used slightly different flavors. One went heavy on astrology, another leaned into father wounds and fake poetry, but the structure. Identical. Every single woman had been love-bombed, elevated, toasted, and then discarded right as the wedding planning began. Some had even taken out loans. One woman confessed she'd paid for his engagement ring. And the worst part, they made us feel like the problem. Like we were too intense, too emotional, too fast. Like the love we thought we shared was somehow our fault for breaking. We started calling them the breakers. And then, like a gift from the messy gods, one of them slipped. His name was Lucas, one of the Denver division guys. He had just ended things with a woman named Brielle after delivering an oddly familiar toast at her family's lake house celebration. She had captured it on video. Thank God for livestream-happy Gen Z cousins. And when she watched the viral Ryan toast on TikTok later, she realized. It was word for word. She DM'd us instantly. We jumped on a call with her that night. He told me he'd never felt so safe with anyone, she said, crying. And when he met my dad, he told him I was the woman who brought him back to life. He cried at dinner. I thought I was going to marry him. I thought I was healing him. But he wasn't broken, Megan said. That's the trick. He was rehearsed, I added. Brielle wiped her eyes and said the words that chilled all of us. He said he was going on a soul retreat next week, to Sedona, told me to wait, to trust. We all stared at each other on Zoom. Because Ryan had said that too. Sedona. That was the overlap. And then it hit me. He hadn't just disappeared for reflection after Nicole. He had gone to Sedona. The men always went there. I opened the spreadsheet again and used the search function. Sedona, 14 mentions. Retreat, reflection, spiritual reset, rebirth, Sedona. That's when Nicole said it out loud. That's their headquarters. Not official, obviously. But a hub, a meeting point. A place to rinse off the guilt, workshop new lines, collect stories to mimic, and maybe, just maybe, trade notes. Then we go there, Kayla said. Go there and do what? I asked. She smirked, give a toast of our own. 4 days later, we touched down in Arizona. The desert heat slapped me like karma. We'd booked rooms in a boutique wellness lodge called the Serpent's Path. Brielle said that's where Lucas had told her to send him light during his integration period. Barfs. We didn't check in under our real names. Megan booked everything under Dr. Luna Steele, a fictional trauma therapist we invented at brunch. The front desk didn't ask questions. They gave us detox smoothies and a brochure about the week's spiritual workshops. It was all too perfect. By the second day, we found him. Lucas. Wearing linen, meditating beside a salt labyrinth, looking serene and empty like a man with no consequences. We followed him discreetly, watched him meet with 3 other men in a garden hut marked Sacred Reflection Space, watched them pass phones, share notes, laugh. We couldn't hear what they said. But we knew. They were building new toasts. And just like that, the plan crystallized. Megan whispered, what if we crashed their ceremony? They wouldn't let us in, Elise said. Kayla cracked her knuckles. That's what disguises are for. We signed up for the week's Sacred Sharing Circle under fake names. Brielle posed as a silent participant. Megan dressed like she owned the retreat center. Nicole wore all white, just like them. I went in wearing a gauzy robe and a practiced look of weary grace. We were in. And what happened next? Well, let's just say the breakers didn't see it coming. Because when the circle started, and they passed the ceremonial mic to Dr. Luna Steele, a woman they thought was one of their own. She stood up, took a breath, and said, "I have something I'd like to read, a toast, actually." 4 heads snapped up. Lucas. 2 others from the spreadsheet. And a man we didn't recognize, tall, chiseled, dead-eyed, who leaned forward like he was watching a bomb tick down. I never thought I'd love again. Their faces paled. "You saved me." Now they stood up. But Megan held up her phone. "Keep interrupting, and I go live." Silence. And I finished the toast. Every word. Every single word. Then I turned the mic over. One by one, the women in the circle stood and said their piece. Kayla. I got toasted, then ghosted. Elise. You rehearsed love like a script, but we have a new scene now. Nicole. This isn't healing, this is predation wrapped in poetry. By the time we were done, the whole circle had shifted. Half the women there weren't part of our plan. But they stood with us anyway. And when the final toast was given, we didn't raise glasses. We raised phones. Because this time, we were the ones streaming. And millions were watching. It hit 1.2 million views before we even left Sedona. The stream of our breaker toast went nuclear on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram Reels, Reddit, Facebook Moms, even goddamn LinkedIn. I got a notification someone had used it in a marketing course to explain brand sabotage. The title that stuck. When the exes unite, a toast to the manipulators. The comments unhinged. This is better than any Netflix doc. Please tell me someone's pitching Hulu. I would die for these women. Sedona cult of fuckboys exposed. But behind the chaos, something else was happening. More women started coming forward. Not just ex-fiancés. Not just from Ryan's inner web. Teachers. Yoga clients. Wellness retreat attendees. Even a few men. They shared eerily similar stories. Spiritual leaders, coaches, or so-called healers who lured them in with vulnerability, then copied and pasted their way through relationships like they were reading from the same damn manual. The spreadsheet. It wasn't even complete. We found the tip of a very manipulative iceberg. And when the press started circling, we had to decide. Hide or torch the whole thing. We chose torch. Nicole agreed to be the spokesperson. She already had a YouTube channel for spiritual commentary, and let's be honest, she looked like the kind of woman you'd believe instantly. Calming voice, dark-rimmed glasses, a vintage tapestry in the background. Her video, titled How to Spot a Toast Repeater and Why They're Dangerous AF, hit 3 million views in 48 hours. She broke it down. The emotional rush of being seen too quickly. The formula of oversharing trauma too early. The push to escalate to engagement before the 10-month mark. The break for reflection, always timed after major commitment milestones. And finally, the speech, delivered to family, friends, live-streamed when possible, always dripping with poetic language that wasn't love, just manipulation with rhythm. But then came the next twist. Because Ryan issued a response. On his Healing with Ryan Instagram page, he uploaded a black and white video, classic manipulation aesthetics. He sat on a couch with a salt lamp behind him, wearing a neutral sweater and pained expression. He looked into the camera and said, "I never meant to hurt anyone. I was trying to find myself in love. If my process wounded others, I'm sorry. But healing is messy. Love is messy. And I believe we all learned something valuable." He used phrases like spiritual distortion, relational experimentation, unintentional emotional harm. And at one point, I'm not joking, he actually said, "They're vilifying growth." The comments were turned off. But the duets were not. People tore him to shreds. Even verified therapists got involved. This isn't healing, it's rehearsed harm. You don't need a script to feel, you need a conscience. Where's the apology to the specific women? Spoiler, it never came. But something else did. A cease and desist. From his lawyer. Demanding we remove all content defaming Mr. Ryan and cease organized public shamming via digital platforms. We laughed for 10 straight minutes. Then Megan posted a TikTok reading the letter word for word while eating popcorn, titled, "Breaking, Emotional Con Man Discovers Consequences." Legal threats or not, the wave was too big to stop. The term toast playbook became shorthand for spiritual narcissists on dating apps. People started asking first dates, "Is this your real story or your toast speech?" There were parody videos, musical covers, a drag queen in LA doing a full dramatic reading of Ryan's toast with opera lighting. The toast exposé had become a movement. And it made a lot of people uncomfortable. Not just the Ryans and Lucases of the world, but people who had stayed silent while it happened. People who knew but let it slide. Because he's sweet, or he's been through a lot, or he just needs healing. And now, the light was on, and the roaches were running. But then, just as we were riding the high of global solidarity and spiritual reckoning, Nicole messaged the group chat. "Check this." Attached was a video. Posted anonymously. Same aesthetic as Ryan's, black and white, sad piano. Except this time, it was a woman. Late 20s, blonde, calm, tear-streaked, speaking directly to camera. She said, "I was part of the playbook, but not as a target, as a participant. I learned it from a man I dated in Vancouver. I copied the formula. I ran it on 3 different men. I gave the same speech to all of them. I hurt people. I'm not proud, but it's not just a men's thing, it's a power thing." The video ended. No name. No details. Just a chilling sign-off. You can't heal what you don't admit. We stared at each other in silence. Because the truth hit hard. The game wasn't just one gender. It wasn't even just about love. It was about control. Performance. Validation addiction. Manipulating human intimacy as a scripted experience. The spreadsheet might have just been the beginning. The real problem. People were starting to treat love like an audience. And we were all just extras. In the weeks that followed the confession video, everything shifted. What had started as a viral humiliation, a drunken toast, a live stream, a room full of gasps and phones, had cracked open something bigger, and messier, and way more human than any of us expected. Yes, Ryan was still a liar. Yes, the Toast Network was a real, disgusting, manipulative thing, but now the lines weren't so clean. Because once the first woman admitted she used the playbook, more followed. 3 more videos surfaced from self-proclaimed, recovering love performers. They told their versions of the script, faking spiritual alignment to speed intimacy, mirroring trauma stories to appear bonded, ending things at the emotional peak so they'd be remembered as a transformative wound. And the worst part, they weren't monsters. They sounded like us. Like people who had once been on the receiving end and decided the only way to avoid pain was to control it. We held an emergency Zoom. The Toast Club. 10 of us now, faces familiar, tired, fierce. Brielle sipped tea. Kayla lit incense out of frame. Nicole took notes. Megan wore sunglasses inside as always. And I asked the question I hadn't had the courage to voice until now. Are we any better if all we're doing is reacting? Nicole looked up. We didn't start this. I know, I said, but we've turned it into content, into merch, into clips and duets and memes. Are we healing or just performing back? The silence that followed was worse than a fight. Because they all felt it. This whole thing started from a real wound, a real betrayal, a public collapse of something that mattered, but somewhere along the way it had become spectacle. Performative vengeance. Viral feminism. Branded catharsis. A toast to the Toast's TM. Megan broke the silence. So what's the alternative? Crawl away, let them rewrite the narrative again. No, I said. I think we need to do what none of them ever did. Kayla raised an eyebrow. Which is? Tell the truth, the whole truth. So we made one final live stream. All of us together. Same camera, same lighting, no music, no background candles, no aesthetic staging. Just 10 women. 10 faces. And we took turns telling the real story, not the clickbait, not the performance, not the viral soundbites. But the messy stuff. How we ignored our gut feelings because we wanted to believe the fairy tale. How we confused poetic language with emotional maturity. How we held onto potential instead of people. How the line between romance and manipulation gets blurry when you're starving to be loved. We talked about loneliness and shame and what it means to feel chosen by someone who turns choosing into a tactic. We didn't just drag the men. We examined the system that made them possible. The dating culture that rewards quick intimacy over earned trust. The spiritual rhetoric that romanticizes pain. The endless supply of language, twin flames, karmic cycles, trauma bonding, used to justify toxic behavior with mystical flair. We admitted what hurt. We admitted what we learned. And then we did something no toast had ever done. We didn't end with a metaphor. We didn't romanticize the heartbreak. We didn't wrap it in wisdom. We just said, we were lied to. We're healing. And that's enough. Then we closed the laptop and left it offline. No viral cut. No repost. No press request. Just us. Free. Later that night, I opened my bedroom window and sat on the sill. The air was cold. Quiet. I picked up a glass of wine and held it toward the sky. To me, I whispered. Not to him. Not to us. Not to the version of me I used to be. Just to me. And then I took a sip. Not to forget, but to remember. That real love doesn't need a performance. And healing doesn't need an audience. Not even for the perfect toast. Subscribe to my Mia's Stories YouTube channel for raw, emotional stories and authentic insights that encourage healing, growth, and understanding. Don't forget to be part of a supportive space where stories inspire and lessons resonate. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments. Your opinion truly matters to us, and we're here for you.